What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night as everybody rolls in here. How you doing? How you feeling? How was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? We got to ask ourselves, what makes it good? What makes it bad? What are we doing in our general life, in our mind, in our heart? Because it's not just about what's going on in the market. It's not just about what we're doing for fun. It's not. All these things tie in together. Everything in our life affects everything else. So if we are having a frustrating time trading, then we need to ask ourselves what our strategy is. If we're having a frustrating time with our family, we need to ask what our participation in that frustration is. If we're having a difficult time with just happiness and depression or any of those different things in our life, we need to ask ourselves again, it's not just charts and strategy. All these things play into each other. Everything we do affects one another. So as you roll in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, join us here in the family, and hit that poll right now. Are you subscribed? Have you hit the like button? Are you actively a part of the community? I want to ask every single buddy here as you roll in, roll call right now. I want to know how you're doing. I want to know how you're feeling. And more importantly, I want to know what you are grateful for. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be covering today. Pretty compressed stream, and a couple of the things that we're going to be talking about are right here. Grayscale, dumping. We got different reports, and it's getting higher and higher. In this case, it says about $740 million worth. In this case, we see 590 million plus additional. We also see here 900 million. But we got a lot of things we're going to be talking about there, and we got a couple charts that we got to be looking at. A key level that we're paying attention to that is inching higher. And of course, the Bitcoin price is dumping. So what are we supposed to do right now? Well, let's jump back right over here. Again, if this is your first time here, I can guarantee you it's not going to be your last time. Welcome to the show. My name's Kelly Kellum. Let's talk about what's going on in this market. And remember, I started this. I always preface this stream, and I hope you're okay with it. And if you're not, deal with it. We got to ask ourselves when we're jumping into these charts on a daily basis. I hope I can be a reminder, and I hope it gets to the point where I'm no longer your reminder to ask yourself, what are you grateful for today? What's something positive that you've done in the last day or last 3 days at minimum that is moving you towards your goals, not just in the market, but in your health, your wealth, and your relationships? Because all these things affect one another. In fact, in the BitLab Academy, the course areas that we have here on BitLab Academy, coming right here, in these courses, one of the things I talk about in the trading fundamentals, and also more importantly, the psychology of trading. Everybody wants to know, what do I do on this trade? What do I do with this pattern? Where do I buy? Where do I sell? Where's the top? But we always as humans, we forget to ask ourselves, where's my mind? Where's my head? Where's my heart? We forget to practice the things that put us in the best circumstance to dominate in this market. So that's what we have to frame our mind around that, because if we're overtired, if we're angry, if we're hungry, if we have an issue with a family member, a loved one, a spouse, a brother, a sister, a neighbor, and then we get to the trading desk and we start trading, that could absolutely put us in a situation where we go outside of our strategy. And I want you all to ask yourself, on your last trade, I don't mean the last one you took, the last trade that you took that did not serve you, meaning that you lost money, or it's whether it's huge, small, something that went against you. And I'm not talking about a stop loss getting hit. I'm talking about getting liquidated. I'm talking about buying and then it immediately drops. Ask yourself, think back to that, whether it was 10 minutes ago, 10 days ago, or 10 years ago, it doesn't matter. Ask yourself, what part of my strategy did I ignore? So before we get going, everybody in the chat right now, drop a 1 if the audio, visual, everything's looking good, sounding good, feeling good. Drop a 2 in chat if you're feeling grateful today. Drop a 3 in chat if now, because you're on this stream, you're feeling grateful. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about what's going on in these markets. So again, diving back over here to what's going on in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, man, this feels so bad if you're unprepared. If you're frustrated right now, put in a frustrated emoji if you're a member. If you're, something that shows, if this doesn't bother you because you are prepared, throw something positive in there. Because the point is, this chart, and I've been talking about this over the last 2 weeks, this chart has been telegraphing that there was a likely dip coming, and we're getting what the chart told us it was going to do. So what's the point of being frustrated? If you are frustrated, then it is a signal that you need to ask yourself, what was wrong with my outlook in the chart? What was wrong with my analysis and what was going on? Where's the error in what I'm doing? Because the market doesn't have errors in price action. The market moves, and these charts that we're seeing on this screen, we're seeing a visual representation of what the narrative, the dominant narrative is between bulls and bears. When people are trying to figure it out, and they can't figure out what the narrative truly is, you see these sort of sideways actions on this sort of time scale right here. If people are getting overwhelmingly bullish, you see these large bullish impulses. If the narrative flips bearish, you see these large bearish impulses. You see these markets are telling you, these charts are telling you what the market's feeling. And you can take advantage of reading what that dominant narrative is over time, so you can get yourself in position to either save yourself from losing money or take advantage of downside price action or get in position so you can make money while always using risk management. So I want to go through a couple things, and then we're going to be breaking down some charts. So everybody right now, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. It's time to dive into what we want to talk about. Now, again, I went through this very quickly, but today's Grayscale. I don't know why it says today's Bitcoin sent. Oh, today's Bitcoin sent. That's what it is. To Coinbase by Grayscale. Grayscale moving money as people are selling off their positions in the Grayscale ETF. $740 million. But wait, there's more. We have more data here, seeing right here. Despite Grayscale seeing a $590 million outflow, this was on Friday, the nine overwhelmed it with $623 million. IBIT, Fidelity, all, both greater than 200 million, while BTCO and HODL, which I cannot remember which one HODL is right now, but had their best hauls to date. Total net inflows stands at 1.2 billion. But then we also see right here an update that just happened a few minutes ago, about an hour ago. Grayscale sent $900 million worth of Bitcoin to Coinbase Exchange. And we're going to talk about what this means, because this has some impact on what's going on with price and where price is going to go. And we can take advantage of this. And also remember to be patient with where we're at right now based on what's going on with where we're at in relationship to the halving. So we see this huge outflow, but we also see, look, stories and articles. Some of these are narrative pushes to get people. It will stimulate that bullish or bearish narrative. So we see all this info, but then on the bullish side of all this, I wouldn't necessarily worry about all this money coming out of Grayscale right now, because and I've talked about this before the halving, what we're going to see is a rotation of capital from all that, I don't want to say locked up, but that pent up energy that was in Grayscale when it was just the GBTC trust and when it transitioned over to the Grayscale ETF. We had a lot of people playing the negative premium. We had a lot of movement and capital rotation from Grayscale now to these other ETFs. And there's going to be a little bit of a time delay of people coming out of Grayscale when they finally get the funds released from this traditional finance side of basically Bitcoin exposure. And then they can finally choose how much, if all or if none, or just a portion, into these new ETFs, because they have lower fees. So we have a lot of things to consider here. And I think this shakeout is going to represent the narrative that is going to cause this thing that we've been talking about, which is the drop pre-halving. If I come over here, let's go to actually halving cycles. If I come over here, this drop that we're talking about, in this case, we had a drop all the way from, about just under 14,000 all the way down. This is about a 53% drop. And then we got a little bit of a rise, but then we had the black swan. But either way, we had a drop and then a secondary drop pre-halving. The cycle before that, we had a lot of chop here in this accumulation phase, but then pretty substantial increase, pretty substantial drop. And then we had this drop that represented right here. This is the 2015, 2016. This drop continued after the halving, represented about a 42% drop. Where we're at right now, we haven't had any large, I think the largest drop we had was about 22%, and this entire basically rise, retrace, continuation. And then this was sideways price action. It represented about a $7,000 range even though during this, it felt like huge pumps and huge sell-offs. But zooming out, we can see this was just trading sideways. Remember, the market cap is larger. There's all this pent-up energy about the coming bull cycle, as we've seen right here. This is what everybody wants. But why are we expecting this to happen in a situation on a market schedule that we've seen play out time and time again? Why are we expecting this to happen before this pink line? This pink line represented by, right here, if I zoom out on this chart, come over here, this line right here. This is that line we're waiting on, that halving. This is estimated about when the halving is going to be, around the first week of April. So we have all the data. Now we have this huge narrative around the ETF pushing up. It's going to explode. A lot of people I know, even my cousin and some other, I have a friend that's been in the market longer than I was. He was playing the possibility of a huge upside potential when the ETF happened. If you, nobody's wrong here. It's okay. Let's share. We got to be vulnerable. We got to be open. We got to be transparent, because we can all learn from that. If you had some expectation that this was just going to basically take the blocks out of the wheels and we were going to get some sort of huge God candles around the ETF happen and we were going to break up. If you thought that, throw a one in chat. It's okay if you did. A lot of people did, which is why when we zoom back in on this chart, when we look at this, double click here, we can see this trap right here. This is that trap that was set. People playing that hope only to have it reversed to the downside. A lot of people were thinking that, whereas I think if I come over here, I don't want to pull it up. We've seen, and I brought it up last week on stream, all the major developments that have come in, the futures ETF, the Coinbase IPO, the CME, BITO, all these different things represented a local top in the market and a large pullback after. Why? Why does it drop after these big news events? Because we have to remember, it's not that those big news events did not have a positive or won't have a positive impact on the price. It's because let me say this. Why does price drop when we have these major fundamental inclusions or developments, these major fundamental evolutions in access to Bitcoin, like the CME futures, the BITO, the Coinbase IPO? It's not that they're not good for the market. It's that because they are public knowledge, it's because they're public knowledge that everybody's aware of it, that there is a speculation play that comes into that where people are buying the hope on the way up. That's where this buy the rumor, sell the news narrative comes from. And it's not unique to Bitcoin. It's on every asset when you have major news developments that are publicly known. So right now, as price is dropping, I am not upset at all. I am excited that we have better opportunity developing before what will be one of the best, is the best opportunity of our life, especially all of us that are here right now. You're ahead of the institutions. You're ahead of 95% or more of the world. So I'm looking for those lower prices, those better opportunities to get in position. I have a strategy. The question is, do you? That's what we always need to ask ourselves, because there's people out there without strategy. And that's why when we're looking at this chart, we get these wicks in different directions, because these people without strategy are buying. They're buying hope. They're buying hope for price to reverse, and they're selling fear. That's what these wicks are to the downside. Selling fear only to have it reverse back and forth and back and forth. That's why you need a strategy, baby. So coming back over, we're going to go through these really quick. So we're talking about Grayscale dumping, but then we also see, look, this is what I was just talking about. Global crypto user base surpassed 500 million, 500 million people in 2023. 580 million people 2023. This is incredible. Remember how many people there are in the world. There's over 8 billion. This is not even scratched the surface. So as bearish as all this other stuff is, this may be bearish in speculation when we're looking at the short term, because then we also look right here through all of this negative narrative. We do see charts like this from James Van Straten. This is I love this, and I brought this up before. This is the different wallet sizes, and this is the kind of areas that we really want to see right here. We want to see what we're seeing in this zone right here. This is 100 to 1,000. This is 1,000 to 10,000. This cohort, when it's very blue, they're buying. When it's very red, they're selling. See, like right here, they're selling. Look at this red, and then looking right here, you could see that this was a distribution top, because Some of these 1,000 to 10,000 we're buying, but this is red, and almost every indication shows people are distributing here. And what do we get? Large price drop. Similarly, right here, we're getting a little indication that there is some buying here, but I have a warning in regards to this chart. Remember, this is 1,000 to 10,000. This is 100 to 1,000. We may be seeing some of these other ETFs, which are large wallet holders. Of course, they're having to stack as people are buying into the, you know, for instance, Fidelity, HODL, Bitwise, iBit, BlackRock. But the point being is right here, we're seeing a lot of distribution broadly on the other wallet cohorts. And this is in line with what we just talked about potentially getting that drop. Do I think we're going to get 40%? I don't think we'll get 40%. It's very possible, but I think we'll get probably somewhere in the nature of, if I had to really nail it down, somewhere between 33 and 38%. So let's call it 33, 35%. And that would take us down to those levels that we've talked about on the chart, and I've had marked out for a minute. This is the next level I'm looking at. The next level below that is right here, 33,000. Now, if we take a measurement from this top right here and come down to that level, what is that? That's 31%. Come all the way down, that's, 32%. Come all the way down to this support line. This is from the top of this wick down to this zone. That represents 35%. So somewhere in this region is where I'm ultimately looking for price to come down to. And right now, the narrative is supporting that happening. Now, looking here on the 6 hour, and I'm going to come back over. We're going to be doing a bunch more TA here in a moment. Alex Green says, the members in the Discord were talking about people leaving blockchain personal wallets and buying Bitcoin ETF, the ETF, which would be a bit selling event as the ETF flows increase as it's safer. Well, here's the deal. The question is, it's an argument of, is the Bitcoin ETF safer than just being in crypto? In some regards, maybe it is. But on the other hand, the trade-off with that is not your keys, not your coins. You're selling, you're basically taking the convenience and the sense of safety by having BlackRock and Coinbase custody your Bitcoin, but taking out your user error, but you're paying a fee on that. So the ultimate best case is have good security, have good risk management, and participate in Bitcoin with managing it yourself in a safe way and learning how to do that. That, by the way, that's why we have the BitLab Academy courses, making sure people understand what blockchain is, Bitcoin, understanding all the different key things you should be looking at here with crypto beginners, and understanding the basics, and then understanding the mindset and understanding the fundamentals before you just go out there because you saw me, or you saw Crypto Face, or you saw Frankie Candles, or you saw DZ, or Joshua Jake, or Tom Crown, name Eric Crown, Crown's Crypto Cave. Like, whoever you're watching, whoever all the different people that are part of your puzzle to build your analysis and inform you and learn from, you ultimately still need to know when you're going into a trading desk, like whether it's on Coinbase, Bybit, Blowfin, Fairdesk, Femix, you need to understand what a market order is over a limit order, what a trailing stop loss is, a limit order, stop limit order. You need to understand these things so you don't get yourself in a position where you accidentally mess something up and take a huge loss. But I do think there's going to be, and this goes back to what we were talking about with the Grayscale and the reshuffling, the capital rotation from Grayscale into these other ETFs. But also there's going to be a lot of people, just like Alex Green just pointed out, we were discussing, they were discussing it in the BitLab Discord, that there could be people that have been in the crypto market that are also like, you know what, I'm just going to buy this directly through the ETFs. There's some shuffling going on right now that creates a little bit of uncertainty, combined with the idea of where we're at in the market cycle, that suggests there is high chance of a bit of a pullback of where we're at right now. So we are seeing a little bit of distribution in these, small, basically like dolphin to mid-sized whales in terms of this accumulation, but everybody else seems a little bit uncertain. You can tell this by the color here. Now we come over here to this. We also see at the same time all these huge outflows. Oh my God, huge outflows on Grayscale. At the same time, we've actually seen $4 billion. So 95,000 Bitcoin purchased in 6 days for the Bitcoin ETFs. Would you say that represents interest? That's interest. That is like, I'm talking about like interest in interest in the markets buying this ETF. This is record breaking. This is so bullish, and we haven't seen anything yet. Then we see right here, excuse me, Coinbase has a 70% chance of full dismissal in SEC lawsuit. So we have all the ETF stuff still lingering, the capital rotation, people taking advantage of what's going on, taking some profits from those $15,500 lows to where we're at now. But we also have this sort of SEC lawsuit going on with Coinbase. They're in litigation right now, but we do have a potential 70%, they think, chance of full dismissal in this regard. But there's something you need to consider with all this, because we look at charts. We look at what the charts are trying to tell us. We're not saying, oh my God, I like this price or don't. No, we're looking at the price in combination with what the underlying data signals are. Now, when we broaden our view a little bit more to understand what the majority of the market, what their narrative is in their mind, what their sentiment is, that's what we're really asking when we're trading. If you want to trade, you need to let the fuck go of your sentiment. And I apologize for that language, but this is the truth. If you want to make it in this market, you have to let go of having a bias. You have to tune in to what you think other people's biases are and what the broad bias is going to be of the community so that you can take advantage. And this is the only way you make money in this market. Take advantage of riding the changes of that sentiment of the broader community out there trading and investing. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. You can be a position trader. You can be a longer term investor. You can do something. This is the most basic. Here's a little cheat hack for you if you are new or you want to take stress out of your market, out of your investing. So looking here, this is by no means like an absolute, this is going to make you all the best money in the world, but this is a very easy way to very simply identify what you want to do. So I'm looking here at the weekly chart. Now, if I zoom this in, this is a MACD. If we just go like this, boom, option V, we're going to go like this, option V, go like this, option V. Now, what I'm doing is I'm marking when these large moves, these large crossovers are happening. Now, if we look at this on the chart, I could even make this super small now. So this is basically a negative crossover right here. You could, the positive crossover is right here. I can tell because I can just look at the histogram, which is green and red. This is a bullish crossover. Very simple. Take longer term trades, watch the MACD, look at what's going on the price. You know, you see the price falling. Oh my God, I'm so scared. But then you see this market dropped. Not only did the market drop, but once we rebounded back up and came back down, we formed a higher low. That already was a little bit of an indication. But then simplifying it, the MACD crossed bullish right here. Your trade on this very simple mechanism would be to find your entry here. And then you're not worried about all this, but you do. Maybe you know a little bit of TA. You know a little bit of analysis and price action. You see this large impulse to the upside, smaller impulse. Now we have an M formation. And then just following that, you're not going to get the best price all the way from here, all the way to the very top. But you're cutting out the noise. You're cutting out the stress. MACD crosses bearish right here. You sell. Now you take advantage of all this price action to the downside. And you buy again right here when it crosses back bullish. Now you take advantage. Look at this. Now you take advantage of this zone right here all the way to this next move. That's a 720% increase. Now you sell right here. And then on this basically drop, you're buying again right here. In this case, you would have got only a little bit of a move because right here, this moves up and this comes right back and probably about around the same price point that you got in. That may happen sometimes. That's okay. And then as this drops all the way to here, look, if you would have bought right here, this would have been very scary because this right here still continues to drop 30%. But if you understand this market and where things are going, then you go, okay, well, they're still on the weekly basis on the MACD. This is why I'm a much more technical trader. But if you're a beginner, you still have to have conviction because if you were to buy right here when this flipped green, you still saw a 30% drop, but we're seeing basically holding relatively bullishly even as this is dropping. So this is telling you If this is still holding very bullishly, and we saw all those other bullish divergences we've talked about all the way from here, all the way from here, there's a bullish divergence all the way over to here. That's a 31 bar, 217 days. Then you can potentially be adding DCAing in, averaging your entry in. So you're lowering your average entry until ultimately this explodes all the way from here, all the way to, where's the cross? Boom, right there. Option B. Here. So there's simplified ways that you can do things on this chart, on these markets, on any asset with MACDs. I want to remove all those lines. There. And that's a very simple way to do it. I like to be a little bit more accurate, so I dive in a bit deeper. I use a few more points of confluence. I like to, as I talk about it on here all the time, I call it, it's a stoplight action protocol, looking for at minimum 3 green lights. I like to use stochastics, money flow. The predominant ones I use, stochastics, RSI, money flow, stochastics, RSI, money flow, momentum. And then from those, I look at those corresponding with what's going on with the price, if it's coming into a known level from, like, for instance, a trend line and all these things. So where we're at right now, I'm not worried about what's happening because I understand the schedule of things to come in terms of the halving, reduction in supply, new interest, and then exponentially new interest the higher price goes because, and I've talked about this before, I'm going to show you, by the way, make sure you're giving me a follow here at Kelly Kellam, KELOYKELLAM. Make sure you're following BitLab Academy too here at Academy BitLab. Now, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what we want to be. And I bring this up on a regular basis because we need to be reminded of this on a regular basis. And that's this smart money accumulation, dumb money accumulation, and where we're at right now. I called this back in January 29th, basically almost a year ago. A year ago, I was talking about price action doing something, working its way up to $48,000 and then rejecting and having a pullback. Now, this would suggest a pullback would be down below $30,000. I don't think that's going to happen. The price and levels and data that is in the chart now has matured over the last year. So I'm looking at more likely that $33,000 to $36,000 range, somewhere in there, as ultimately the opportunity point that we're looking at. But we want to take advantage of this drop right here and not be so worried about it, or just sit on our hands and figure out at what point we want to engage with the market without being stressed. And if you're stressed, it's because you don't have the education and the knowledge and the practice of doing these things. So we have 580 million people in the market right now, crypto broadly, the world over. We just had the ETFs provide access to institutions, the people that are a little bit more hesitant, people that are not very aware of crypto, but they want to get some exposure. The floodgates are about to open. So 95,000 Bitcoin in 6 days, amazing. And then we see right here, we talked about the Coinbase. This is on the horizon. And I think this is going to cause some tension in the market between now and April, depending on what happens here. Now, when we look at this, it says I went into the SEC Coinbase hearing thinking Coin would, on this motion, win dismissal SEC's primary claims concerning trading. But this is important. Everybody thinks this may just be a dismissal, blah, blah, blah. But here's the deal. But maybe not staking and broker claims. So will they get the full dismissal? This is where the speculation is going right now. But in addition to all this, we have the Ethereum ETF on the horizon, potentially in May. And there's going to be a little bit of a break, I think, a little bit of a break of structure of the capital flow from Bitcoin to Ethereum. Ethereum might be poised to be a little bit, perform a bit better between now and then. So let's make sure that we're aware of how we're allocating our portfolios. Now, when we look at this chart from Rekt, definitely give them a follow. If you're not, it's REKTCAPITAL, Rekt Capital. But just look at this. Previous price performances. This is the halvings. Boom, boom, boom. What I want you to notice here, broken up very nicely, bear market, sort of pre-halving and then post-halving. Bear market, pre-halving, the green, post-halving. What we can see here is that we saw a pretty substantial move up into this line right here, which is -8 degree line. People do analysis in all kinds of different ways, and it's beautiful to see different types of things and different looks on the market. So let's look at this. We see a push up into the zone, and this doesn't feel like a pretty substantial sell-off, but this move right here was a fairly large move. In fact, this is January 1st, 2016. Let's see what that move was. January 1st, 2016. January 1st. Oh, wait, not January. Was it June? July. I can read, I promise. July 1st. So right here, this is that 42% move to the downside that happened on reaching that level that we're talking about. 42% down and then launch. In this case right here, we had a 70, I think it was 72% or something from this to the bottom of the black swan. Even if the black swan didn't happen, that was a 50% drop from here to here. So we had a over 40%, over 50 or over 70% drop pre-halving. Where we're at right now, are we just to assume with all this capital rotation, the litigation going on with Coinbase, and also institutions and smart money, bigger money maker, market makers involved, and are we to expect that this is just going to hold here? Maybe it will, but I'd really like to see this pull back so we could take advantage of those lower prices. And even if it doesn't, look at where we're at. Say it just holds here and you're waiting for that bottom, that drop. It may not happen. Okay, then we can take advantage of once we come over here and break this line, and also in line with our other indicators, our signals, price action, charts, formations, giving us those 3 green lights, then we can add to a position here to ride this portion of the market, which is the most exciting, the most fun. I love this portion of the market. But where we're at right now, also from Rect Capital, the weekly RSI has been in a downtrend since early December. Breaking that downtrend, meaning right here, the RSI, remember, relative strength index. This is showing the strength of the market was coming down. This is that bearish divergence I was talking about last week in the stream that was suggesting as this pushed up and the RSI did not respond by also going up along with this price. That was saying, hey, you're giving that last little endorphin push and you're probably about to fall off the mountain because you can't hold on anymore. What happened? Boom, fell off the mountain. Now, what's going on here? We want to pay attention to this RSI. We're still nowhere close to a renewed uptrend. Need to finish the downside period first. We want to see what's happening not only with the price action, but our other data signals. We want to see what's going on with strength and RSI. And remember, this is the most bullish thing ever, although we're seeing price action move to the downside, because what this means is as price action moves down and coming into the most bullish period of the market cycle, when we're watching something like this technical data signal, when we're talking about the RSI falling on the weekly, we're on the weekly right here. Let's get over there. So we see this RSI, purple line, falling. We see the stochastics falling. What I like to recharacterize that in my mind is when I'm looking at this, I say these are resetting to give us more power to push the market up when it does find that spring to jump and continue up. Because remember, we may not get all the way down here to $33,000, $35,000. We may come down here, clear out this CME futures gap that we have down here, which is also almost perfectly aligned with where it's the golden pocket is just below this. This golden pocket is represented from this move right here up, a golden pocket back down. The test of that would be about the $38,000, $39,000 level. We also have all these previous tops right in here. So the price action coming down in here and bouncing, I'm seeing basically these two sort of scenarios playing out. Coming down here, bouncing, and then continuing up, or coming down here, bouncing, falling, getting rejected, and then coming down into the zone, and then pushing up out of this halving. Either way, I'm okay. I'm not going to put all my entire wad, and I'm about to deploy some capital in this market in about a week and a half. I'm doing it on my schedule. I'm not worried about what's happening in the market. I see this in the time frame in which these things may play out. So I feel like in about a week and a half, I'm going to be looking at the market, and it might not be to the day week and a half, but I know when I get to looking at the market in terms of, okay, where am I going to deploy my capital? I'm looking at this. Hopefully, I'm hoping that it breaks below this and I can really focus my targets down here. But if it's bouncing in this area, then I'll split up my order entries between this zone, like in this zone right here. So I'm laddering in and averaging my entries to make sure I can take advantage of the best prices and all those best prices as possible, rather than putting it all down here and having it bounce above that and not getting any exposure before that ultimate push to the upside. So that's what I'm thinking there. Now, also coming here into the BitLab Discord. If you're not in here, what are you doing? If you want access to the BitLab Premium Discord, part of our community, it's part of the BitLab Academy. You get it, the Premium Discord. Enroll right here. You get access to all these courses to break things down on a specific topic-based. Every single topic is broken down into its own lesson, whether it's different charts and understanding on-chain data analysis. Everybody should go through this course right here. Understanding candles, understanding patterns. Every specific topic is its own thing, but then you also get access to continue to get further education here in the Discord, and as well as chart setups, breakdowns. You guys can make chart requests. We do live sessions in here, but Joshua Jake broke this down with a high block, and he was showing that. So I'm looking at my more technical charting analysis, and he's using these liquidation maps, and on his, he's saying he's watching for a break of 40,283. And if we break that, then it's likely further downside. So liquidity grab, we're down to 38,500. So I'm using one form of analysis, and I use this a bit too, but his analysis right here with what he calls a windshield wiper method, his analysis using his strategies is showing that we may get a liquidity washout down to 38.5. Now coming back over to the chart, well, look at where my mark is right here, 38,360. So maybe it's just above that, maybe. But there's different types of analysis. There's different types of green lights that we're getting that are suggesting further downside price action. Now, we got 135 people in the room right now. So if you're new here, let us know you're new in the chat right now. Let me know. Everybody in the chat right now, actually, new or old on this channel, post your born on date. What's the first month and year you bought exposure to any crypto, and what was it? Was it Bitcoin? Was it Dogecoin? Was it SHIB? Was it Ethereum? There's no wrong answer because there's different avenues that people come into this market. And I'm not going to shame anybody for getting one coin or another. You all have to determine what types of assets you want to participate in and what type of risk you want to take on. So I want to see people getting involved in the chat right now. Just tested the Discord link below the video. Here, I'll share it in there. If that's messed up, then here, I will share the real one, or the invite people, copy. Here. Open chat. I'll share it with you guys right now. Boom. Invite people. You got it, Crimson. Thank you. Now, getting back over here. We got some things that we want to talk about still. We got this level right here, dashboard. This level right here. Remember, we were just talking about my analysis, which is more chart pattern, Fibonacci, volume. And then Joshua Jake was talking about the liquidation and the liquidation levels and liquidity sweeps. But then we also look at the short-term holder cost basis, and this is coming right up into that zone. So we're starting to get multiple different types of data and confluences suggesting this is going to tick up over the next couple of days. We're already up here at 38,114. And the way the short-term holder cost basis moves is when a coin that has been held for less than 155 days is traded, okay? So every time a coin is moved and it changes, it drives this value up or down depending on where the price is in relationship to here the short-term holder cost basis average over time. So as this is coming up, we're getting all these different areas that are providing us that $38,000 region is a pretty good region that we should be watching. Now, if we do lose this level, then we have these levels directly below us. The 21-week moving average right now just shy of 35,000, and then of course the 200-day moving average just above 33,000. So remember, I was saying that 34 to 36,000 region would be a washout. This would be I think a huge bear trap, losing the short-term holder cost basis, washing some of those weak hands out, finding support above the 200-day moving average, somewhere around this 21-week moving average in that $34,000, $35,000 range. Now, I don't think it has to happen, but I think it's very likely that it does. So now when we get here on the charts, we've talked about Bitcoin. We've talked about, the last thing I wanted to share here is on the 6-hour chart. What do you notice right here on the BitLab Trim Fuel, part of the BitLab trading stack? By the way, if you want to use these indicators that we use on this stream, I use them for all my trading. You just head over to bitlabacademy.com. Come right. You can get the BitLab Pro, which is when you enroll, you can do all access which is the courses and the Discord, or you can do the Pro, which is the courses, Discord, and the indicators, or you can just go right here to the indicators and get indicators. But when we're looking at this 6 hour, look, we lost not only the weekly VWAP, this yellow line right here, we also lost the BitLab. Oops. I always do that with the, there we go. The BitLab trend signal line right here. We lost all of these right here. This flipped bearish, turned red. And we have this dynamic resistance zone that we kind of broke into and got rejected back down to, broke back up into, got rejected back down from just this trend signal line right here. Now we're holding a little bit of support in this order block that was formed right here on all this buying that came in that defended the price going lower. But now we're coming down and clearing this interest right now. So maybe we get a little bit of a bounce here. But I would expect that this would, any move up in here would likely be a bull trap and likely more washout down to the future, because we also see that this money flow, this blue wave here has come back down, and we're back in this purple wave. We're seeing a lot of bearishness here on the dashboard. And we also see the stochastics angle down, and RSI got relatively weak down here into 15%. Now, one would argue that this is a call, with, especially with the RSI being low, that maybe this is a bit oversold and we'll get that rise. Well, great. I just said that same thing. I said I would expect, if this does push up, because we are finding support here, that there is a call that this could push up, but I'd be watching for a potential reversal to come back down and head back down into this order block that's below us. It's perfectly exactly in line with where the CME futures gap is, and would represent, especially with the wick down into this target box, that flush of liquidity Joshua Jake was talking about, the move that I was talking about on a technical basis, as well as all the signals in the chart. This would come down and test this golden pocket. So what are we talking about on some of the other things we're looking at? Well, quant, we have this head and shoulders. We're coming down. I talked about it last week, potentially getting rejected here at this trend signal, at the this trend line that we drew, but also really working with this trend signal line here on the BitLab intelligence, and coming down, kind of flushing, testing this liquidity down below us in this order block. I'm still looking for a test down a little bit lower, these lows here, which would represent down in that $104, $106 range, $106 range that I called last week about Wednesday, when we were somewhere over, somewhere in this region on this starting to break down. I said, man, I'm looking for that $100 potentially down into that $98, $97 range. And this is exactly what's kind of happening right now. So we want to watch what happens here. Potential pull, retrace to the upside, rejection at this trend line, and continue down. That's what I'm seeing. And that makes me happy, because I want to get more quant at a better price. AVAX, I mean, just looking quite weak. Stochastics down, RSI down, negative money flow, momentum expanding to the downside. So what am I looking for? $27 range. Likely test down into this lower 20s as well. We have an order block right here, and then ultimately we have these previous sort of range highs over here down at the 23. So I would love an opportunity to get AVAX in that lower register. Solana, let's go down. I talked about this on the Discover Crypto stream, but we see this is getting rejected as well. We zoom in on this. Look at this. It lost a weekly VWAP. This is the yellow line. A little bit of a fake out. Now rejection, came back up. It's just chopping. Can't figure out what it wants to do. And because it can't figure out what it wants to do, then the bears gain traction, and we're starting to break down. Where as it is right now, we're still holding the line, option J. We're still holding the line of this wick, this wick, this wick, this wick, this wick. It's tapping on that glass floor. And at some point, this is very likely to flush out, even if it's a quick move down to 74, 75, and then back up. Either way, I do think that this is going to make a move down to this level. The question is going to be, do we get these better prices down here at the 61 zone, which I think is a more likely area? What we can do is we come right here from this bottom, option F, draw this all the way up to the top. We look at this $61 zone. Not only is all this previous price action, but it's also representative of exactly. See these two lines right here? Zoom it in so you can see it a little more. I can see clearly now. We see the golden pocket right here. But this is a very attractive area for me to pick up some Solana. Also, if we come over here to the 3-day, notice money flows rounding about. We had bearish divergence on the RSI, on the momentum. We had signals suggesting that maybe this was going to cool off a little bit. Now, one could argue that this is a bit of a bull flag, but this is a bull flag right here. This is a little bull flag right here. Now, you could say this is a bull flag, but you have this flagpole right here that's starting to have the flag be about as long or longer than the pole. If you have too much heavy weight stretching out from that flagpole, it's going to pull that flagpole over, which means a likely dip in price. Where we're at right now on the 3-day, coincidentally, price is actually right now currently breaching the trend signal line right here. That doesn't mean just go and short it, but it's suggesting that this is trying to set up that circumstance. Tyler Nicholson says, Kelly, have you heard of Solidus AI tech? I have not. I will look into it. I like AI projects. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Everybody in the chat right now, 124 people, every single one of you hit that like button and subscribe. But I want to see every one of you, what's something that's a little bit off. I don't want some meme coin. Don't do that. I'm talking about real projects out there. What's a project that you've been keeping your eye on that you feel like is a little bit off the radar? Let everybody know. Let's make this a community that a rising tide raises all ships. So let's rise those ships. I'm happy to learn from you guys, and I hope you guys are happy to learn from me. This is a community thing, and let's bring things to each other's attention. So I'm curious to see what kind of projects you guys are looking at. I'll definitely be reading through this afterwards. A crow is definitely not an off the radar project, but I guess you guys don't know what off the radar is. Render, yeah, I like Render as well. Pyth, there's been a lot of talk about Pyth lately. But let's continue on here, and maybe I can actually do some charts on those here in a second. But trend signal line here, losing this, coming down to the 1 hour. So I want you to notice something. We have this line and order blocks and 6 bullish divergences right now on Solana right here. So is it going to break down yet? Maybe not. Maybe we get one more bounce up test of this range, this $92 sort of level, $91, $92. And then come down, tap, and break through. If we do lose this now, fine. It looks just a little unlikely because we do have 6 bullish divergences right here. But there's negative money flow, and look at all this bearishness on this. So this is I would be waiting. I'd be waiting for the price action to help determine which direction it wants to go. Because it looks on a price action level like it's about to break through. On a technical level, it's giving some signals that there's some strength coming in, but then there's other technical signals that show there's a lot of weakness. So this would be a little bit of a wait to see which direction it moves and then buy the confirmation of that move. Buy or sell the confirmation of that move. Now, let's look at ETH real quick. I actually want to look at ETH BTC. ETH BTC. Look at that. Option T gives me a trend line. Draw the trend line. Look at that. We're finding support. Lost it. This is beautiful. Lost it. Not only lost it, came up, tested that. This is the break. The confirmation of the move as this rejects and then comes back down. There's a little bit of the speculation play around all that initial hype when, you know, the acknowledgement after the ETF narrative happened with Bitcoin. There, a little bit of a shift of focus to the Ethereum ETF, and now a little bit of a taking profits there. But what does it look like on ETH USD? What am I doing? So we had this channel. We've broken below this rising level of support that came through here. And yes, we had some chop in this region, but this was coming right through here. This is a 1 hour chart. Look at this. The breakdown came up to the 382, got rejected, bounced, and then rolled all the way over. And where did it go? It came right to this lower trend line that we had drawn last week. I haven't looked at this in about 3 days. So let's see. So Thursday here, resurgence, bounce, and then dropped right to this trend line that we had drawn from these 2 points. So if we lose this area, this is also, look, perfectly in line with these previous highs. We lose this area, I'm looking at a price coming down here into the 2250s, but we may get a little bit of an opportunity. It does look like the momentum came quite low, but it's still holding here. Maybe it's rounding out. Got a bit of bearishness here, but if we get down to the 1 hour time frame, also still negative money flow. So it's not showing us an indication it wants to really bounce yet, other than the price action kind of losing a bit of that bearish momentum to the downside. So it's currently holding right here. We're going to want to watch and see what happens here. Maybe we get another opportunity. Stochastics are rising. We're going to want to see what happens with if this momentum can truly start swinging to the upside. But if it does, watch for a move to the upside for a potential rejection here. Currently, daily the weekly VWAP is just under $2,400. So if we do get a push up into the zone, the trend signal line would be down into this region as well. A lot of dynamic resistance in the zone, so watch for potential rejection if we do get a bounce here. Everybody sees a fall, and they see a trend line, and they say, oh, I'm just going to buy right here because we have a spinning top candle right here, the reversal candle, and the bearish momentum is not carrying it further down, so I'm going to buy this and let it rip all the way up to $20,000 from here. And what happens is they buy this, it comes up here and gets rejected, and then it comes down. They don't sell any of this zone, and they sell at a lower price. Don't get caught in that trap. Be a smart trader. Be a smart trader. Have a strategy. Remember, we are so early in this market cycle. We're so early, and I'm talking about the market cycle over the next 25 years as institutions and the majority of the rest of the world piles in because it is inevitable. This is the asset of the future, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you for being here. I love you guys. I just realized I have a meeting I have to run to. I got a text in about 5 minutes, but I love you guys. I appreciate you. Get in the BitLab Discord. Make some chart requests. If you know the premium Discord, you can make chart requests. Look at those different charts and setups and stuff. John Dalton and Corduroy are sharing, and the classroom session Joshua Jake is doing, and the market watch stuff that Tim is doing, and the different chart breakdowns that there's so much coming and already in the Discord, and it's only getting better. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope each and every one of you, before you go, before we wrap this up, what are you grateful for now going into the rest of the day? Did you learn anything in this stream? Let me know. Drop a comment down below. Where do you think price is going to be at the end of January? Do you think we're going to be finding a bottom and be bouncing up from there? Or do you think we're still going to be falling into February? Love you guys so much, says Crimson Caravan. I love all of you so much. That's all I got. Everybody, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. I appreciate you. Again, my name's Kelly Kellum. Welcome to our family. I'll see you in the next one. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Beep, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, ba. Hit that like button, sucker.